Hey everyone, welcome back to Eat the Cake Anime. I'm your host, Jay Renee.
And I'm her loving husband and sidekick, Ron.
Oh my goodness, the last day of July.
Yes.
We are here. We made it this summer. Oh my God, it's been so hot.
Almost time for all kids to go back to school.
Yes, but not us because, hey, we're Gen Xers. We've done our time, so we're good to go.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, so Leading Ladies Month, you guys, last day of July. We have done so many great animes that we looked into. And last week's, when we talked about the Black leading ladies, like where are they? Thank you all so much. We had such an awesome response. We can't thank you enough here at Eat the Cake Anime for all of your help.
And as part of that, I want to give a big shout out to my aunt Ophelia. The main reason that I'm so big into cartoons and anime, even my music background, is all based to her. I want to say I love you and thank you. Without you, I wouldn't be who I am today. And with that said, let's go on to the anime.
Wow. Okay. All right. So Aunt Phil, we love you. Rest in paradise. And we are going to get right into it. So, Leading Ladies, final episode for this podcast with this subject. I wanted to take one that was not about, the cutesy and the witchcraft, the kind of thing that we look at when we have these leading ladies in anime that have certain tropes.
Yeah. So the anime that we're going to be discussing today is called Komi Can't Communicate.
Right. Komi Can't Communicate. You guys, this was such an interesting anime with a strong leading lady who is, of course, Shuoko Komi. And I found it interesting that it was an anime that tackled realistic issues that are facing our young women, even in the three-dimensional world.
Yeah, I found it interesting because I have a young lady in my life who happens to be my daughter, who has a little bit of an anxiety thing.
Okay.
So watching Komi Can't Communicate didn't give me a lot of information, but it gave me a little bit of insight into what the world is like for people who don't really communicate like that.
Right. So Komi Can't Communicate, you guys, it's a slice of life romantic comedy anime, but it blends humor and, heartwarming moments. There's a lot of emotional character growth, but it's centered around what producer Ron just talked about, social anxiety and the human connection. So many people have an issue with that these days, especially younger adults. And I think it may be because they're COVID kids. They spent their formative years. Some people spent their formative years, in the bubble and doing things virtually. And it had an effect on more than just young people. A lot of people suffer from social anxiety. So I decided to look at Komi Can't Communicate as one that really portrays a strong leading lady. So to give you an overview, the story follows Shuoko Komi, a stunning and elegant high school girl. She's adored by everyone at school. Everybody loves her, y'all. She even became an idol, but she has extreme social anxiety and she can't communicate well with other people. But her quiet nature, they take it as, she's just being so cool and she's so aloof, and that's what led to her school idol status. But the male protagonist, who is Hirohito Tadano, he's just your regular average kid, loves to crack wise and all this other stuff. He realizes that Komi doesn't talk, not because she doesn't want to or because she won't say anything. It's because she can't. So then he makes it his mission to help her make 100 friends, which thus kickstarts her journey and gets her started towards opening up and basic human connection.
Yeah, and part of that is, we got a couple of people out there who criticize this particular anime, calling her anxiety, over exaggerated for comedic effect, and said that it was possibly tied to pretty privilege. But
pretty privilege, yeah.
Yeah, but from knowing people who have social anxiety, no, it wasn't exaggerated. Some people are just like that. They're great people and everything. It's just that they're a little bit awkward when it comes to crowds.
Right. I mean, Komi used a whole notebook to communicate because she was unable to speak. So we see in this anime how she's learning to express herself more with the help of her friends and the other characters. But it's a real thing that people just kind of see as, oh, well, why don't you get over it? Or why don't you just, talk to people and what's wrong with you? We don't know what really goes on with a lot of people, especially with females. And, Anime, that's another reason why at Eat the Cake Anime, we love slice of life. Well, producer Ron particularly loves slice of life because it's everyday situations, everyday people being real and being open and being honest and dealing with things. And it shows up in Komi Can't Communicate.
Yeah, and this particular anime has been released in 37 different volumes, and it even has a live action television adaptation.
Wow. Live action?
Yeah, you know how we feel about that, so we're just going to move on.
Yes. So, like with the characters of Komi, then you have Hirohito Tadano. He's, like I said, very self-deprecating, but he's very perceptive, and he picks up on Komi's needs a lot without her having to say a word, which is very rare, that you see, even in most circles, because some people are so consumed with their own, with their own stuff and whatever they have going on. You have Najimi Osana, who of course is the gender fluid childhood friend of everyone. The characters in this story, serving as comic relief, a social catalyst, Najimi Osana, they push Komi into social situations, but they manage to do it with a lot of humorous and chaotic energy. And that's a really, really bright spot that I found really worthwhile in this anime, because you don't see a lot of that. Usually you see people that usually tend to push towards the wrong way or towards their own end. But in this particular anime, it was very good because it was a great set of 3 main characters, but then you had this supporting cast that the anime introduces, like the classmates that had the exaggerated traits. Like one, was overly formal, one was narcissistic, one was stalkerish, but over time, the characters become a part of Komi's growing circle of friends, which also reflects her progress.
Yeah, what I really liked about it is I'm a slice of life fan, as my wife will constantly remind me of. But this particular one was a little bit more than just a fluffy anime.
Right.
It actually explored social anxiety, her courage to overcome, and, get some human connections and everything else like that.
Right.
And it also, forgive me if I destroyed this gentleman's name, Tadano, his kindness and the series of help, with the humor and the heartfelt moments.
Yeah. Tadano. Yeah, it's y'all, Komi's internal struggles are relatable for many people. For a lot of people that watch this anime, it's very relatable because there are a lot of people that face communication barriers. It also highlights how difficult it is and how brave it is to take even small social steps when you're anxious. I'm pretty sure you've seen that, as, your daughter, you grew up and things like that, and you see it like in a lot of friends. But another thing to me that makes this anime great is not only the premise, because the premise is so unique, it's not like a regular trope, the artistic expression. The visual storytelling, like Komi's emotions, you can see them like through the subtle animation, mood lighting, and little what do you call it? The little sparkly filters when she's nervous or excited. So it helps you, go
with
along
the stuff
with it.
Written all over her face.
Yeah, and the use of silence and body language in this anime, it just enhances the emotional depth without relying on dialogue. Because a lot of these animes, you guys, we can watch certain animes and we know the dialogue inside and out. We can take a Black Clover or 7 Deadly Sins and we can, we almost know the exact direction that it's going. But with Komi Can't Communicate, it's a little different.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that Komi Can't Communicate, y'all, it balanced the comedy. It mixed the heartfelt with emotions and, the laugh out loud humor. It was so different in a great way, and I really, really appreciated that.
Yep. And again, with this particular anime, I'm not going to give it a must watch.
Really?
I mean,
I would listen, you guys. Listen. Okay. So now I'm getting ready to disagree with you because this show, I told you, it balanced the comedy because it tackled the anxiety, but it made it kind of lighthearted and uplifting at the same time. And then you had Komi and Tadano with the slow burn romance. It's slow, it's pure, it's sincere. There's no rush, no deepening bond, that's instantaneous. But their bond is based on understanding and shared moments, not just attraction, but we can see that the attraction is clearly there. And with all of that, producer Ron, you don't think this is a must watch? Really?
Look,
Boo.
I enjoyed the pacing of it. I enjoyed the animation. I actually enjoyed how authentic it was based on the human experience of, having and knowing people who are socially awkward.
Right. And the growing mutual affection that you see between the two characters, is emotionally rewarding. But what's also rewarding is every new friend that Komi makes is like a small triumph. It's a victory. The milestones gives the show like a satisfying structure, because each episode usually centers around a new experience or a different social challenge. And that's one of the things. And this character handled everything with aplomb. Now, season 1 premiered in 2021, and the season 1 anime. And I'm telling you, shout out to the manga creator Tomohito Oda. Beautiful. It blended the humor, the moments, that everything is working out in Komi's favor while she's being pushed, but she's being pushed ever so subtly in a way that she can balance it without feeling overwhelmed. So I love the first season because it establishes Komi's challenges and it shows like the early wins. Now season 2, it goes deeper into Komi's emotional development, like different events like New Year's and Valentine's, and starting to build that real slow burn, slow romance, romantic tension.
Oh, so you're telling me you've watched more of this anime without me?
Sorry, producer Ron. Yes, I have.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that.
We'll talk about it when we're done with the podcast. Whatever. But Komi Can't Communicate is produced by animation studio OLM, who is of course known for Pokemon. Great visuals, detailed expression, and the comedic timing, y'all, is spot on. So yeah. So what would you give this anime?
I'm going to give it a 7.
A 7. Okay. And for all the reasons I gave, I would give it an 8.5, because to me, Komi Can't Communicate is just so great. It is so in summary, we can say Komi Can't Communicate is what I say is a beautifully animated, emotionally resonant anime. And it talks about the challenges of social anxiety, the power of friendship, and the courage that it takes to open up.
And for me, I'm going to say that it actually gives you perspective, because it gives you an insight to what someone with social anxiety actually goes through.
Right.
Even though it's done through a comedic anime lens, it actually does give you some perspective.
Yeah, you're right. So I guess we can say here at Eat the Cake Anime, if you appreciate character-driven narratives with the soft touch and the strong emotional, bonds that we see, then Komi Can't Communicate is the anime for you.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, I think that was a great anime to close out the leading ladies.
Yep.
What do you think? Yeah. So leading ladies month, that's all we have. Komi Can't Communicate. That is the one. Special thank you once again to ZMedia. Mazani, you are doing a great job.
Thank you, Mazani.
Yes, thank you, Zani. Listen, ZMedia, you guys check her out. She is great. She does great work. You can find her on all platforms, listening and visual. And you can also find us everywhere you get your podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Amazon, Spotify, Pocket Cast, anywhere you listen to your podcast. So I think that's all we have for this time. So until next time, here to Eat the Cake Anime. What do we love to say, babe?
It's okay
to enjoy anime.